I heard you, Joey. I saw you, Joey. Say you
Hey
wanted to say
guys,
something.
we are live here in the group. It's Cedric, man up. We got Joey right there. We are here to chat it up. What's going on, fellas?
Oh, nothing much. Got to show off the new belt I got, my newest belt.
So this is what we do. This is what we're gonna do. This is what
Yeah,
we're doing.
man. Told you get your belt, man.
This guy.
Go over there to the collection of belts and pick the one.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Get your newest belt.
Newest belt. All right, got him. This thing's heavy, so I'm not. It's not gonna be on this shoulder long.
Oh man. So before we get started, fellas, let's talk about what do we want to do with this information that we're trying to give out to everybody? You want to share it?
Guys, man.
Hopefully, if you're watching this, you comment below and give us your opinions and let us know if you want to be a part of conversations too. If you feel comfortable on the camera, we got room for another in here. If you are so inclined to do it, but if you just want to participate in the comments, that's awesome too.
Exactly. And what we're going to dive into, folks. We're going to talk about our favorite world champions. In preparation for this, we went down a couple of rabbit holes. One of them being is with all these world champions, the certain promotions like deserve to have world championship status. So that's something that's going on for years. That line has been skewed very much so these days. Joey, what you think on that?
Well, it depends on how technical you want to get, but I mean, I think most people accept world championships as the top championship in a major promotion,
right?
And I guess that there's the line of like, what's a major promotion? And for me, like, you work the indies, like every independent can call their title a world title or whatever, but it's kind of like, and at one time the magazines weren't considering the NWA world title a world title, but It's kind of like, how can you take that away? Because you can't just remove, even though it did become an independent title after a while, it's still the NWA world championship historically.
Exactly.
It still holds weight. I mean, but then it gets into, do we consider like the AAA mega championship, to me, if we're calling the WWE title a world title, if we're calling the Ring of Honor world title a world title, then we have to count the AAA mega title. We have to count, because that's a major organization.
Exactly.
In Mexico, they don't call it a world championship, but it's their top belt. So
exactly, like I think it was about a year ago, Pro Wrestling Illustrated like updated their list of titles that they recognize as world titles. Some of them I disagree with, because it's like, you're recognizing this title, I don't even see a true kind of lineage. Why? So yeah. I don't know.
I agree, because like WWE really don't consider themselves a world championship. It says WWE championship and Universal Championship.
Exactly.
So it really depends on how you, the fan, look at it. So a lot of y'all might not agree with our list. Some of y'all might cold-heartedly agree. So it depends on you. You know what I'm saying? And like Joey said, some people don't think the Indies is a world title. Some people don't think territorial a world championship. But
it's good when I'll say it like this: it's good when a territory knows their boundaries and not try to be bigger than what they are. For instance, when Memphis, the USWA, they merged CWA, CWF, USWA, CWA, world class, and they merged and had the unified world title, but the title is defended in Memphis. So it's you know it's stuff, little stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the intention. It wasn't Jerry's intention, but he ended up, as we all know, he ended up falling out with the AWA, and
Right.
They didn't want him to be the champion anymore, but they had already agreed to this working relationship where, you know, since Lawler and Jarrett ended up acquiring World Class, what was left of World Class, that they were going to be, you know, recognized one world champion. And then somewhere along the line, Vern Gagne was like, no, change my mind, and made Larry Zbyszko the AWA world champion so he could have his belt back. But it's so then, yeah, I mean, Jerry kind of didn't have any other places to go defend the belt after a while, and then he started working with the WWF, and it was kind of like, well, you know, that whole thing went to hell.
Exactly. So, but like, I mean, that's definitely not to take away from a lot of the guys from the territory who were their champions and the caliber that they bring, because a lot of those guys in the territories, there was a world championship caliber talent.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. A lot of them.
And I got one on my list that was definitely a territory star for sure. So it's coming.
Yeah. And we're gonna get to those lists a little bit later on. Well, but before we get to that, something else that we're gonna talk about is those guys, those talents, those wrestlers that were world-class talent but never held a world title. That's something else we're gonna dive into. We definitely want to get your guys' comments on that, on what you guys think, and who knows, it may continue to spark the conversation that we're having here, right guys?
Never know. And I didn't make a list because I was too busy trying to think. I said, oh, this person didn't. I said, wait a minute. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. So I kept going back and forth. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go off the top of my head.
That's fine.
because like I gave an example, R-Truth never held the major title in the WWE, but he was NWA World Champion.
Twice.
Yeah. So, you know, and a lot of people forget about that. So that's why I was like, R-Truth. I said, no, wait a minute. Yes, he did. NWA. I forgot all about it. And then I was thinking about Ted DiBiase at first. I said, no, wait a minute. He held it when he paid for the belt a couple of times.
I was about to say, do we count that? I mean,
yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's a whole bunch of things.
Yeah,
go with this. So, you know, it just depends.
Recently, I had read somewhere that he was trying to get his name in the list there and be considered a former champion, because it goes back to also with Andre the Giant, because they got Andre on there, but like it was,
Andre pinned the champion. Yes, he's a former world champion.
Yep.
Okay,
he's a former world champion. Ted DiBiase, not so much. I don't care how you spin it, how you try to politic your way into it. You are not a former WWF world champion. I'm sorry, you're not.
Yeah.
But
even though, well, that
made some great TV though
with the belt.
He showed up. He showed up at the event. I saw that. He showed up. It makes for great TV. It really did.
It makes for a great discussion too, guys. So, you know.
Do you remember what about, hey, here's another spin on it. What about the Phantom title changes? Like how Ric Flair gets to 20-something world championships if you count all the Phantom title changes where he dropped it in Puerto Rico.
Good point. Very good point.
That is a good thing about that. See, that's what I'm saying. That's why it was hard for me to make a list. I couldn't think about all that.
Because when they say 16-time world champion, we're talking about the 16 that WWE recognizes on their list as his reigns. But Ric Flair's title number is very disputed, and it's well above 20.
Exactly.
It's actually in the 30s. Exactly in the 30s.
Yeah. It's hard to argue that too, because John Cena is straightforward. He held 16 WWE championships essentially, even though there was the WWE World, the big gold belt, but it was, you know, it's just the same belt on a different ring.
WWE banner. So
yeah. Versus Ric Flair kind of essentially dominating, being world champion of 3 companies. If you split kind of NWA, which we're talking mainly splitting the original traveling NWA World Championship from the WCW World Championship, and then even the later years of Jim Crockett Promotions, where it was the championship there, not whereas when Ric Flair first got the belt, you know, he was going to Georgia, and he was going to Florida, and he was going to Japan and defending it, and he was, you know,
exactly,
he was a true traveling world heavyweight champion.
Yeah. So yeah, and so all of that will take into in consideration when we made our list about our favorite world champions. Also we're also going to talk about the those who have been world champion, and something else we also going to dive into is memorable title reigns. So it might not necessarily be our favorite champion, but it's a title reign that sticks out to us. So that's something else as well.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Exactly. So, and now that'll be a good way to go ahead and get us started. Is a title reign that is memorable to you. I'll go ahead and kick this off. One title reign. Even though it was short, whatnot. I definitely want to highlight Cody Rhodes' NWA World Title reign.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to highlight that is because with that title win, him and his father is the only person to hold the NWA World Heavyweight title, father-son combination.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
So I definitely like that hit me on an emotional level.
Yeah.
So
and that was a great match. That's what it's really about. People read into the number of times you've been champion, the length of the title reign, but let's be honest, it's really about the matches in those moments. And
that right there,
that was the moment for All In,
creating a moment, and that's what when these promoters, bookers, whatever, when you create moments and something that you remember, that is what drives the wrestling fan.
Yeah, like still to this day, look at WWE showing clips of Stone Cold beating Shawn Michaels, because that was. Exactly. That was a passing of the torch, just like when he worked with Brett and stuff. Like there was
that visual of Stone Cold in the sharpshooter bleeding. That's a moment.
And credit to Bret Hart on that, because how can you lose a match but still become the biggest star in wrestling in the same match? That's how you do it if you're going to do that. Because Austin lost that match technically, but came out the other side the biggest babyface. It was a double turn, because that's how Bret, officially turned heel too. Like it's just, and that was all from the brain of Bret the Hitman Hart. Like you can't, God, man, like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Really, Bret does not. And if for the genius.
Exactly. If you guys out there who watching that, if you got a championship moment, whatnot that sticks in your mind, go ahead and drop it in the comments. We can see them, and we'll share it with everybody else. So, man, what you got?
Man, I think my most memorable title reign. Ooh, now we're counting the world championship, the heavyweight championship, and put it like that.
A world championship. Yeah.
Okay. All right, because I got one that's not the world championship, but okay. All right. Well, let's go with world championship. My most memorable one, I have to give it to Stone Cold.
Okay.
The first one, like y'all just said, when he beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Now, I guess, like y'all said, because it's the passing of the torch, and I guess that's what kind of brought the WWF at that time out of the slums.
Okay.
Because we all know WCW was kicking their ass big time at that point. And Stone Cold basically brought them from the death dug them out the grave and, made them what they are now.
Right.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that because that was a great match. And then it was also rumored that Shawn Michaels didn't want to lose and Undertaker was going to beat Shawn Michaels up. That was a rumor, of course, but and because Stone Cold said he don't know nothing about that. You got to ask Undertaker, and nobody never really asked him. So, not that I know of. So, but I just think that that title reign, his first one, before he actually lost it to my favorite wrestler, Kane, for that one day. Well, I don't know. It's just like it solidified a new generation of great wrestling, in my opinion. You know,
Okay.
I know others might see it differently,
Yeah.
but to me, that was like Joey said, passing of the torch. That was more of saying, look, this is what we're going with this guy because Vince was smart with that. We're going with this guy because he is like a good bad guy, kind of like Razor Ramon. You know, you could root for the bad guy. That was Stone Cold as well too, and
Right.
Stone Cold was on another level. And kind of a side note here, because this was on my mind. I had this.
Oh,
This is completely off topic.
Okay.
Now, I'm having this conversation with someone. I want y'all two opinion. We were going back and forth who was the biggest star between Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan. I said Hulk Hogan was huge for a long period of time, but Stone Cold was stupendous. I mean, greater than huge for a short period of time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to debate. But if you
Yeah.
want to say in a certain period of time frame, I gotta get to Stone Cold.
Yeah. Well, and everything, hindsight being 2020, and then we are in different eras and whatnot. That era, the Hogan came that heyday, that 4 year run that he did, was that run was paramount in the establishment of WWF to the national scene and eventually to the world scene.
Yeah.
So, and on the Austin front, Austin may have been the most popular WWF superstar of all time in an era of WWF that they needed the most because of the Monday Night Wars. So everything is subjective. It really is.
It is. It's just all opinion based, but that's
Okay.
just my opinion.
Yeah.
if I
Joey.
had to, oh, sorry, if I had to say just who was the bigger star, or we say just overall, or I guess, but I kind of got to give the little bit of edge to Hogan just because at the time,
If you say Hulk Hogan's name in mainstream,
yeah,
folks know.
if you're
Stone
talking
Cold,
wrestling, that's the name more people
yeah,
know still to this day than anybody else. And because
still,
he had such crossover appeal at the time, and then
exactly.
you're talking about the run in the WWF, but then you got to give it to him too for the heel turn in the whole Hollywood Hogan run, because that
Yeah,
was hot in its own right. But as a heel, you
yeah,
know, and he himself did not believe it could be done at first until he
uh-huh.
went with it, until I guess they decided that they were going to put Sting in the NWO, and then he
Hmm.
was like, okay, I got to get this. Like, I can't let him have this. But
Exactly.
but he committed to the character and he got it over, and that's, I give it to him not just in stardom and just talking about merchandise and drawing box office and all that stuff, but just
Hmm.
his versatility for him to for him to take a completely different character version of Hulk Hogan
Hmm.
and get it over to that level again, especially when people were pooping on him in 1996 when they were
Yeah,
tired of seeing Hulkamania and all that stuff, and he got
yeah.
that red hot.
So, and
Got
some
to give it to him.
some to truly put into context, Hogan won the WWF title for the first time in 1984.
Yeah,
He was up in between WWF and WCW. He went from 84 to 2000 as a name in the wrestling business. Stone Cold's rise on the big stage 96 to about 2003.
yeah.
So I mean you can compare the both, but he's like,
Well, and let's be honest, Austin won the title in '98, so really
yeah,
that's his time. That's when he started. I mean, you could even argue '97 when he was wrestling Owen and stuff like that. He
Right.
was definitely pushed to, that was after the Brett thing when they had that hot match at WrestleMania.
Right.
So, I mean, you could argue 97, but if we're really talking about being on top, he had about a 5-year run, like being the top guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Somebody commented. But
yeah, somebody comment. Appreciate it. Yeah, the thing about this platform is that they have allowed StreamYard promotions to their profile when that. So that's when you click the link at the beginning to allow StreamYard to. It'll give next time it'll show your name or whatnot. So too easy. Joey.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. I said Hogan was huge. Okay, we're talking about when they got huge, not when they started wrestling or whatever.
Right.
Or you can even count when they first became champion.
Right.
Hogan was big for a long stretch.
Yeah.
About 10 years, 20 years maybe. I know not 20, but I'm just saying.
No, pretty close because he was WWF champion in the 2000 or WWE, whatever, the undisputed champion there too.
Exactly.
So we're pushing 20 years.
When he came back, so yeah.
But Austin was huge. I mean, huge for a short period of time. So
exactly.
But so was Hogan. But so was Hogan during that rock and wrestling era. It's hard. I mean, we there's a lot of things into it too, because a lot of times the way they say Austin was the biggest star was merchandise sales and things like that. But let's be honest, in the 80s, how were you able to get WWF merchandise? It was rough. Like it was either you were at the event or you ordered it through like a catalog or something.
Exactly.
So it's hard to compare Austin when the internet era was starting off and you could order the t-shirts off WWF.com. And
it was a beautiful thing that I was able to get a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt and Walmart.
Walmart was a big thing too, and that didn't really happen until like the 90s with pro wrestling. It wasn't as in the 80s. You could just go into Kmart or somewhere.
You ain't get that stuff like going into your neighborhood stores and whatnot.
Yeah, it wasn't as accessible, but yeah, I mean, they both deserve their respect. I was a huge Steve. I mean, I can't knock Steve Austin anyway because I was a Stunning Steve fan, so I can't even. I appreciate all. He was. I saw. I'm not saying I knew talent, but I mean, it was hard not to see. Like he had a look and a swagger about him, even. When he had the long hair and the he didn't have really good gear. He had them old crusty looking white boots and but there was something about him, he had the look, he had the physique, he had, he already had something about him. You knew he was special even back then. We couldn't imagine how special he would get.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just had to throw that out there. I didn't want that to be the topic of the discussion.
No, it's important.
That was on my mind, and I was telling my coworker, I was like, it's kind of hard because both of them are great stars, don't get me wrong, in different generations, but I don't know. Only reason why I say Stone Cold because when Stone Cold created that anti-authority gimmick, that's what brought the WWF to where it is now. So
absolutely.
Other than that, it's a toss-up. If you ask me,
look who they were going head-to-head against. Hollywood Hogan. Was Hollywood Hogan was part of the big reason the WCW and that whole NWO Hollywood Hogan gimmick was what was killing WWF in the ratings. So for Austin to come bring it up out the on the downhill and bring it back to prominence, it's very special. It's very important.
Yeah, it's a toss-up, man. It really is, to be honest with you.
And then you have The Rock in that equation too.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna say The Rock is mostly huge because of movies.
But now, I'm not into the movies.
I'm not saying Rock wasn't big in wrestling. Don't get me wrong at all.
Yeah.
But he was nowhere near on the stage of Hogan and Stone Cold.
Right. Yeah. I get where it's coming from. When Rock used the WWF as the platform for the next thing, and he did it well. No shade, no tea on that. No shade, no tea. But yeah, to say in my discussion of top world champions of all time, Rock is not on that list.
Yeah.
So, real quick, Joey, memorable title reign for you.
Okay. Well, shoot, that's hard to pick, but I'm gonna go off the path here, and I'm going to say Christopher Daniels winning the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Okay.
Because, and it wasn't because it was his coming out or anything like that, but it was, it was more of a thank you to him, because if you're a fan of his at all, or you followed his career, that man at one time, I mean, nobody did more to make other people big stars probably than Christopher Daniels outside of WWE. Like in both Ring of Honor, him working with guys like Jay Lethal to get him up to the next level there. But in TNA, you're talking about, where would AJ Styles be without Christopher Daniels as an opponent in the X Division and as a tag partner when they were tag team champions? So to me, Christopher Daniels, even though his title reign in Ring of Honor was short, and it's Ring of Honor, and he's the one that dropped it, I think, to Cody Rhodes. So he was kind of the transitional champion. To me, it was still special just because it was like, if you're talking workhorses in professional wrestling, Christopher Daniels should be, somewhere in your top 10 there, because he did a lot. He did a lot for everybody else, and he's still doing it. Like he went to New Japan Strong and put Jay White over, and he's still out there trying at 50 years old or however old he is now still, and he can go. Can still get in there and go from time to time. You can't do it to him all the time, but he can, as long as he can do that BME and he can do that, the Angel's Wings and stuff like that, people will still, a certain number of people will still pop for Christopher Daniels.
Easily.
But yeah.
Easily. Okay, changing gears. Let's talk about some of the guys that awesome characters, awesome gimmicks, awesome performers in the ring, but never held the world title. Man up, what you got?
Like I said, I was too busy. I was thinking long and hard about this here, and like I was talking about before, there are plenty of people that might not say, well, WWE don't call that world titles, like Joey talked about before in the previous live. I mean, I know they had the world championship. That's what the WCW built, but because that's what it really was, the WCW world championship. But anyway,
yeah.
But before that, they never called themselves world champions. It was always the WWE or F champion,
right?
And now technically universal champion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, like I said before, when you start thinking about people, you might start thinking about, damn, did this person hold the world title? So you get to really thinking.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't remember, Dave. Like I said, I gave R-Truth as a perfect example. A lot of people might not remember that he was NWA world champion. So,
right.
Man, like I said twice. So it's like you got to really think, who was a world champion, who was not a world champion that should be. And some people might think the Indies is a world championship or New Japan, when they really are just based in Japan.
Right.
So, I don't know. It just really a toss up. So if I really had to think of one, and I know this person did hold a world championship. I know they did.
Then don't put them out there. Actually, I'm curious. Who?
I'm gonna just go on and say it. Forget it. The first person that popped up in my head, and I had to say, "Oh no, wait a minute, yes he did." That was Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
But he did.
He did.
So, this would have to be a list. I really have to go back and take a couple of days to think about. So,
not really, because I'm gonna throw a name at you. That's first and foremost, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Scott Hall.
See, he was on my list too. He was a person I was thinking about too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it would be just maybe two people that I would think of. Just two.
Yeah, I could think of plenty. Joey, who you got?
I guess I put mine in numerical order, but it don't matter. I'm going to go with Davey Boy Smith. I thought the British Bulldog, there were times when he could have been a world champion. I definitely think if he was a guy that, you know, always worked with the champion, especially when we're talking his WCW run, his first WCW run, and then his return to WWF when he worked with Brett, he worked with Shawn, he worked with, you know, they all wanted to work with Davey because Davey was so good. But I think, you know, looking at him, I would say the most opportune times that he could have been a world champion were when he went to WCW the first time. Like, and he did work with Vader and he tagged with Sting and stuff like that. That was an opportunity where they probably could have put the WCW world title on him, and he was hot. You know, he was still red hot. Even in the WWF, he had just been Intercontinental Champion and had that match with Brett at SummerSlam, and that was the main event of that SummerSlam. So Bulldog was a big star.
That was a missed opportunity. And I think WCW correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were trying to do a little bit of European expansion. Him and Brett, they drew at Wembley Stadium.
They main evented over the WWF Championship with the Intercontinental belt.
Exactly. So it's like y'all didn't capitalize on that.
The WWF could have capitalized on it, but then even more importantly, when the WCW had Vader running roughshod, and people were getting tired of Sting and Vader. You know, that was a time where when Davey Boy came in, he was still red hot. You know, it was like, and it was like, you know, it was a big debut. And then, you know, I mean, he ended up getting hurt a little bit later. And then that was kind of the end of it for him because he was supposed to work with Rick Rude for the international world title. He was supposed to work with Rude for that, but it ended up being Road Warrior Hawk working with Rude at Starrcade, which was a replacement. Because I think, you know, Davey was going to be somebody to work with Rick Rude long term, but
we're gonna put a bookmark on that title. That WCW International. We're gonna put a bookmark on that. We're gonna come back to that.
Yeah, and also I would say there was a possible opportunity when he returned to the WWF after his back injury in his second run in WCW, and he came back in the jeans and was doing that. They had him, you know, they had him in the main event again. They had him working with Triple H. They had him working with The Rock. They had him working with people like that, but they just didn't pull and he was still, you know, he was hurt. That was part of it. I'm sure that was what kept them from doing much with him that last run, just because, you know, he had broken his back on that stupid Ultimate Warrior trap door in the WCW ring. He just had bad luck in WCW. Poor guy, poor British Bulldog. But I mean, you can't underestimate the British Bulldog's popularity.
Exactly. And going back to that bookmark, one person that's on my list is Ravishing Rick Rude. Now, I know that he held the world class. He was the first world class world heavyweight champion.
Right.
He held the WCW International title when WCW seceded from the NWA.
Yeah.
So, with that said, do we consider Rick Rude a former world champion because that WCW International title wasn't the main title? They ain't say it was the WCW world title.
Well,
and that the world class world title was Texas. So
yeah. Okay, so with the world class title, it is that I don't know about that, but I do consider the because technically when
Chono won it, I think then Muda, Wyndham.
Yeah.
Who won it after Wyndham?
Ric Flair.
Because all those was NWA.
Yes, and so was Ric Flair when he won it from Barry Windham.
And Rude beat who?
Ric Flair.
Okay, and by that point, I think that's when they seceded from NWA.
Right before that match, because I think there was heavy disagreement. So, if you look back to the history, when they brought the big gold belt back, when Chono won it, it was and that was in the G1. That was in the G1 climax where Masahiro Chono won it. And Muda wasn't even supposed to get it. Chono was supposed to come drop it to Barry Windham, but there ended up being a travel change, so he dropped it to Muda, and Muda came to the U.S. But the issue is originally, I think that that title was supposed to be shared between WCW and New Japan, and recognize it like another world champion. Plus, let's face it, you know, up until recently, New Japan didn't refer to the IWGP Heavyweight as a world championship. Why? Because they were originally part of the National Wrestling Alliance, and they recognized the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion as the so that was a part of it, and so that was the idea, was that they were each going to have their champion, but they were going to still recognize the NWA World Heavyweight title in some manner. But then they had a disagreement. I think part of it was over. I think Flair wanted to drop the title to Rick Rude. I think that was an agreement they had all made, but the NWA decided that they didn't want to do it, and then that's when they had another falling out, and that they already decided that they were putting that belt on Rick Rude. And why? Because Rude was also frequently heading to Japan and wrestling for New Japan at the same time. So he was going to, so between him and Sting and, you know, who ended up feuding over it the most, you know, they wanted somebody that was committed to traveling and working for both companies. But I mean, it would be different if Rude never worked with any top guys to me for it. But, you know, he worked with Ric Flair and Sting and people like that. So it's kind of hard not to say it's a world heavyweight title, because then you don't count it in Ric Flair's list and you don't count it in Sting's list. And then, you know, even, you know, and it wasn't, people referred to it, but it was originally it was, they didn't know what to call it when they got rid of the NWA. So they just described it as the World Championship or whatever. And then that's what they came up with, is WCW International, as a fictitious organization that basically represented the NWA. Yeah, it was supposed to represent the NWA without calling it the NWA. And
and that's what I was saying. That's why I said this is a great topic, but it's kind of like, how do you defeat? You know, think about this. You know, because certain, like you said, certain places you don't consider them world champions, but technically they was.
Yeah.
And like the GWC, I could think of it. But anyway, when Dean Ambrose go over there and win it, it's GCW.
Like, Game Changer Wrestling, yeah. That's, so, I mean,
it's that's something you got to think about, because like you said, Scott Hall never won it. He was always Intercontinental. He was always around the world champion. I mean, that was the second person I was thinking about, but I was like, a top 5. It's like, whoa, this is something I got to really think about. And that's what I'm saying. Then, like I said, certain people might look at it certain ways. I mean, we all got our opinions on this, and I'm not knocking no one's opinion, but it's hard to, like, say world champion who was never a world champion in certain promotions. So it's like, ooh.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I personally consider Rick Rude's 3 WCW International World Title reigns as World Heavyweight Championships, just because it was billed as a World Heavyweight title. It was, you know, it was the big gold belt, and again, he beat Ric Flair for it. It's not like he beat, you know, Johnny Nobody for it. Like it's not like he beat some mid-carder. He didn't beat freaking Johnny B. Bad for it or something. You know, if he beat him for it, I'd kind of be like, well, I mean.
Yeah, so that's, like I said, this is a great topic to talk about. And I've always told both of y'all, I'm a big wrestling fan, but y'all teaching me something. Every single time we talk, y'all teach me something. So I'm a student. I'm listening. I'm learning. So
but admittedly, I'm sure Cedric's got more to say about Rick Rude, so we probably should get back to that. But I'm a huge Rick Rude fan, so I can't blame you for your position on that, and I can't, and I'm a huge fan of his as well, so I can't, you know.
Of course, I mean, and there's other folks out there, Jake the Snake Roberts, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never really held any version of the world title.
I had Scott Hall and I had Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
And I had to really think about Jake the Snake. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Because because like in WWE, he never held a title. WCW, he never held a title. He did some mid-south business. I want to say world class, maybe not. But it's like, He they did some stuff in Georgia, the TV title in Georgia, but you never really associated Jake with a championship belt ever, if you think
But
about
he
it.
was a main eventer. I mean, you can't deny
Exactly,
that. He was
exactly,
definitely in WWF. He was a main event. He was the Undertaker's first real big main event. I mean, like big WrestleMania match. Like, yeah, he wrestled
exactly.
Superfly Snuka, but that was a squash. With Jake, it was a
Oh,
whole.
that was a squash.
Oh, with Superfly Snuka.
Yeah, that was a squash.
With Jake, it was a very cerebral match where the Undertaker got the win, but but it was a tremendous match, and it was a main event level match. You can't, I mean, it's WrestleMania, so a lot of matches are main event level matches, but Undertaker and Jake, man, that's a match I challenge anybody that's never seen it from WrestleMania 8 to go back and watch. And I'm not a huge WWE guy, but I will never deny the brilliance of Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, definitely. Caleb has a comment here. Matt Cardona has been better in NWA than WWE. I didn't like Cardona when he came into the NWA at first. And a big part of that that GCW crowd, being that he was a former WWE guy, whatnot.
Yeah,
he lived up to that, and he freaking rolled that to the wheels fall off. It got him some crazy heat, and when he won that title,
and honestly, like this injury derailed his NWA World Heavyweight title reign. But I mean, you can't deny, like, if you've seen his work even there, like and I know I'm going to catch heat from all the MJF fans, but to me, the hottest heel outside of WWE is Matt Cardona.
Okay.
But we can even say outside of AEW and WWE, but there's, I mean, yeah, Matt Cardona's getting nuclear heat. And the bad thing is, WWE would never really give him the opportunity to run as a heel, like, with that character. But, the only thing really, he's still doing the Zack Ryder character pretty much. He just changed his name to his real name, which he has to. But, but anyway, God, like, yeah, the heat he gets everywhere. In Impact, he was the digital media champion until he got hurt and he had to drop it to Rich Swann. And he was hot there. He was red hot. He's red hot in the NWA, red hot in Game Changer Wrestling. Everywhere he goes, man, like, he was like the Ultimo Dragon with a picture of him and all his belts, like he was just, Matt Cardona was red hot, man. Everybody wanted him. And let's not lie. AEW wanted him too, but he's doing his thing. He likes being independent.
And that works for him. So, that's a discussion that we was having earlier. All these different places to work.
Yeah.
He's making them. I mean, he's part of the success of everything outside of AEW and WWE. He's building them up. If Game Changer Wrestling goes it to anybody, yeah, they got Moxley, and he's a draw for him. But
exactly.
But you said it best. Cardona coming out there, nuclear heat. Like,
I haven't seen heat like that in a long time, boy. Like, ooh, that throwing trash, goes off kind of heat, like. Ooh!
But packing that house out, if you see GCW with a packed crowd, it was when Matt Cardona was there.
Shoot, didn't GCW just go to Madison Square? The theater at Madison. Oh no, Hammerstein Ballroom is where they went to.
Yeah,
they went to Hammerstein Ballroom and had a freaking pay-per-view on the back of Matt Cardona.
Yeah, and he was there. That's just, I mean, the heat alone from him beating Nick Gage and Nick Gage's house. It's like, come on, man. Like, you can't write it better than that. Like, that crowd is all about them some deathmatch wrestling and Nick Gage. And then you got Matt Cardona, the sports entertainer, coming in there, and you can't write this stuff. Like, and they both did a good job. And I'm not a big deathmatch wrestling fan or Nick Gage fan, but I give him his props. Like, he was a big part of making that successful too. Like,
yeah. Caleb said Cardona and Jared were two of the biggest heat.
Jared, yes.
Yeah, two biggest heat magnets I've seen in GCW, and I only watched this last summer. Like, I don't follow I don't follow GCW much, but when it comes across, when something big comes across like that, and it comes into my timeline, it's newsworthy,
Yeah, and
I didn't even know nothing about GCW until Dean Ambrose won the title. Then I looked it up. I'm like, okay. Then I saw a video where Stephen Hammer had the belt, and I started watching a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, man, nah.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't want. I mean, I'm tired of seeing guys get busted with light tubes and stuff. I mean, to me, like that came and went. The hardcore wrestling thing was big 20 something years ago.
Okay, put a bookmark in that, because that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
the different genres in professional wrestling. That's
agreed.
to come. That's to come. So you guys stay tuned. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down right now.
yeah,
it's a good
yeah,
one. It's a good one for sure.
The
Yeah.
different genres of professional wrestling. And
Well, I'm sorry, we keep getting off topic, but did you want to say some things more about Rick Rude and
no. We're
Okay.
good. I just threw that out there because he's on my list, and you brought up that WCW International title, and I knew I want to come back because I was like, is he really a former world champion?
Yeah, but yeah. To me, if we're talking nuclear heat, you got to mention Ravishing Rick Rude, because Lord knows, like, I still go back to that, was it Beach Blast match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the U.S. title, the 30-minute Iron Man match in 92, I believe, 92. And Rick Rude just going out to the ring, and he can't even start talking on the microphone because the people are booing him so loud. And then who's he wrestling? Ricky freaking Steamboat, the biggest baby face.
Biggest babyface, arguably the biggest babyface ever in the history of wrestling. Easily.
Maybe outside of like Hulk Hogan, you know, as far as being, but even then, Hogan turned heel. Steamboat never could.
Exactly.
Like Steamboat, man. But that was
That's another topic. That's another topic. Wrestlers never turned heel.
Never turned babyface. Yes. You got a couple on that. Could you see Ole Anderson being everybody's favorite babyface? Come on.
I'm writing that down.
I don't know, man. All right.
Get back on topic. Okay. We're gonna get into our top 5 world heavyweight champions. Joey.
Well, I already did. Davey Boy was my number 5.
Okay, he's your number 5. Man, who you got as your number 5? When we come back to you.
He didn't make the list. He couldn't make the list. He was having a hard time with it, which is understandable. But
okay,
it was short notice.
Surely off the fact that of what he meant to the business and whatnot. I'm going right here.
Ooh,
Luthez.
Wait. I thought we were saying top 5 people that never won the belt.
No. We go into world champions now. Because
I thought we were doing the top 5 on who never won the belt.
No, our top 5 world champions.
Okay.
Top 5 world champions. All right. So Luthez brought in NWA. That I'm a big fan of. As you'll see in my with my top 5, I am a big fan of the traveling world champions, going out there to the other territories, building up that top guy, and essentially making it all better for everyone involved, not just staying in one place. So Luthez is my number 5. He did it 6 times, if I'm not mistaken, 6 or 7. The only reason he's number 5 because I haven't had the honor of truly like in being engulfed into what he done, whatnot. But his presence in wrestling history is unquestioned.
Yeah, I think Joey got confused because we was talking about non-champions, then we switched it to champions. So I think Joey got a little bit confused there. But now, so I think Joey got that a little confused because we was talking about non-champions at first, So, and we keep getting off topic. So, this is just a fun discussion. So, yeah. But anyway, I think let me go ahead and say my top 5, my number 5 top champion.
It don't
I
have to
gotta
go
get,
in any particular order. We don't have to go
Yeah.
like
We
who's the
ain't got
number
going
one
on.
world champion, but just
Yeah.
because Luthez is on my list too, and I'm going to caveat that in a minute, but he wouldn't
Yeah.
be like number 5 on my list, but I can't deny he's on my top 5. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
for me personally, you know.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm finna go with this person is because of that statue. And I'm pretty sure y'all know what I'm talking about, or even who I'm talking about.
The
The
Ultimate
reason I
Warrior.
want to go with this person because this person is still in it to this day. I mean, he's somewhat part-time, but he's still in it. And still giving it a go, even at his age. I think he's like close to 50 now. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he's somewhere around 50. And I'm talking about Rey Mysterio.
Oh,
That little dude can go. And he still got it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's teaching his son the ropes. And I think, and another reason why I'm giving him props is because I really truly think his heritage was done wrong when he was in WCW, and that to me was a no-go for me. You got a certain heritage, you like to wear that mask, and I thought Eric Bischoff was wrong for taking that off. But when he came to WWE, Vince respected that and never, want him to take it off. Yeah, there was some get times where it was a storyline. They ripped it off his face and all that crap. But other than that, nice picture, that Mr. Cedric. But other than that, it wasn't like a forced thing. You have to do this and all that crap. And to me, but getting back to what I'm talking about here, but to me with Ray, like I said, his statue, he always went up against huge guys. My favorite wrestler, Kane, he went up against Undertaker, Great Khali, The Big Show, all these guys, and still put up huge fights against these people.
Yeah.
And for him to be like a 3 or 4 time champion, because I know he held the spinner, the WWE champion, and he held that world championship a few times too. So,
Yeah.
To me, this guy here was one of the best. I can't put it no better than that. And he's teaching his son the ropes too. The first ever father-son tag team champion in the WWE.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. But that's my first one right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's good points. That's good points. Ray, and to credit to Ray, because he won the title in a time where I call them juniors, but that's the old term. But like lighter weight, small guys didn't win world heavyweight championships. Like it just and now you see, the Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, these kind of guys that are kind of fit that smaller AJ Styles, even like smaller guys, junior heavyweights, if you will. That's the old term, but yeah, like but Ray's smaller than them, and for him to reach that level, man, you got to give credit. Like he achieved a level probably nobody who saw him, back in the day when we were watching him on Monday Nitro and things like that thought that he would ever reach.
Yeah. And also a lot of these lighter guys, you notice like a lot of companies are taking out that heavyweight part, and then when they have the world championships.
Yeah, the NWA is holding on to it for tradition, but that's about it. Everybody else has let go of it. AEW doesn't refer to theirs, Ring of Honor, and none of this. It's all just the world championship, and that kind of makes sense because if you're not going to have it split, New Japan's got to have heavyweight in theirs because they still have junior heavyweight.
Exactly, they're still honoring that.
So is the NWA. So for them, it makes sense to have a world heavyweight title if you're going to have a world junior heavyweight champion or IWGP junior heavyweight champion. But I guess if I'm going next, I'm going to go back to Luthez because, man, if when you see young wrestlers today, the one thing I think that a lot of them miss that they could go back and learn from watching Luthez is his just overall believability. Like Luthez was a legit shooter and a great world heavyweight champion, a guy that trained up a lot of big stars at his time. He I showed a match one day. I think I can't remember if I put it in our group chat, but he wrestled his last match in Japan against Masahiro Chono, which is one of his students. And he was Ric Flair's age, like 73 at the time. and it was short and sweet. He didn't do much,
Exactly.
but they got to the point and went home. But you know, it's hard. You know, a lot of guys like him will get ignored because they're from so far ago and not,
exactly,
you know, not in a lot of our lifetimes when we were growing up. But you can't deny like the success of the NWA at the time, and everything, and the expansion of professional wrestling into Japan would not have been anything without Lou Thesz. He's the guy that kind of bridged that gap. And I mean, you know how they worship Inoki over there. They worship Lou Thesz like that too in Japan. They believe him. They believe he's legit.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to Man Up because I think I know what his next one is.
Oh, is it your next one?
Yeah.
No, what you think it is, Cedric? What you think?
I'm just looking at your belt. So I kind of have a feeling as to who your next one is. But you go ahead and lighten everybody.
Well, all right. Well, hey, you know, he hit it on point. Just in case y'all don't know, my next favorite wrestler to hold a championship, to be world champion or heavyweight champion, whatever you want to call it, Kane. That's my all-time favorite wrestler. I wasn't gonna put him in my number one because I gotta give the man, you know, I gotta give others their proper due. Just because you're my favorite don't mean nothing. Oh, shucking now. But Kane. Now I know he won the blue block logo WWF championship from Stone Cold only for a day, and a lot of people laugh at that. But y'all don't realize that was a storyline type thing. So whatever. Anyway, but I think this guy had a awesome career. He could still go in the ring to this day. You know, he could still go. And I think when he was under the wing of the Undertaker, his whole wrestling career basically has been under the wing of Undertaker, basically.
Yeah.
At least 90% of his career, at least 90. But anyway, this guy here to me had some believable factors about him. You know, we all know that pyrotechnic and stuff, you know what I'm saying, that was created backstage. All you gotta do is press a button or two. But it's like, it's just something about, you know what I'm saying, when he first debuted as the actor, I mean, excuse me, not the actor, as the wrestler Kane, breaking off the Hell in a Cell match that he had, the Undertaker had with, if I'm not mistaken, Shawn Michaels, at that moment, and he broke that cell. You really thought that not Stone Cold, god damn, I can't talk straight. But you really thought that Kane was really finna just go and destroy the Undertaker with Paul Bearer and all that. You really thought that, you know what I'm saying, that Kane was was like a supernatural hero or something, you know what I'm saying? Especially when he was supposed to debut with that cape, but they never did that. That to me, that would have been awesome, in my opinion. But him with his title reigns, I think he had like 3 of them. He lost one to Mark Henry. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think he lost the next one when he cashed in his Money in the Bank. He won it against Ray. Then I think he lost it against John Cena, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But the level of competition and believability that this man had, and still to this day have, I know he's not wrestling right now. He's a mayor of Knoxville and Tennessee or whatever. And the level of availability that this man had.
Covered his face.
What you covering your face for?
I'll stick
to Kane the wrestler, not Glenn Jacobs the mayor, but yeah.
He got some real heat out there on the Twitter.
Real heat.
Oh, I know. I ain't talking about that now. You know that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the wrestler himself.
We're speaking Kane, not Mayor Glenn Jacobs, not Tennessee.
I ain't talking about none of that stuff.
Right.
I know why he got that heat. I know why, but that's a whole topic for a whole.
Nothing to do with Kane and being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. For a whole nother platform.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, but yeah, to me, this guy was, was a great character, a great heel. He barely was a babyface, barely. He was mostly heel, and he made it work. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't champion much or very long during his title reigns, but he made everything work. He knew his part, his place in the company, and ran with it. And a lot of times people don't understand that you got to know your place, and he did, and he was very successful.
Definitely. Sorry. So we just passed the 1 hour point. So we're gonna try to speed this up a little bit. We don't want to go too long.
Okay.
What's your next one, Joey? Then we'll
All right.
go on to you.
I'm going to go with Kurt Hennig, AWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay.
Not because he's on a lot of people's favorite to never win a world title, even though he did. But the reason I'm going to give him credit was because he was the AWA World Champion after basically the NWA World Champion just became the Jim Crockett Promotions or the WCW World Champion. He was the last. Kurt Hennig is the last traveling World Heavyweight Champion. You're talking about.
He actually traveled?
Yes, he did. And he traveled to NWA territories that the NWA world title was no longer appearing in, like Portland.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, he did. If you look back at his history, he held the title for about a year, and he traveled to Japan with it. He traveled, I think, to Europe with it. He traveled everywhere. He was the true last traveling world heavyweight champion in professional wrestling.
Wow.
And it's such a sad thing to me that no one gives him credit because he wasn't WWF champion or WCW world champion. It's always an afterthought that Kurt Hennig, before he ever became Mr. Perfect, was already a star in professional wrestling and was the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. And of course, you have your people that are like, well, that was during the dying days of the AWA. And I was like, no, it wasn't. He won it from Nick Bockwinkel, and it was a pretty hot angle. Like it was, They were still drawing pretty good numbers, in what was their territory up there, in the Midwest, in Minneapolis and everywhere. But you're talking about when the NWA was no longer sending their champion to Portland, Oregon. Kurt Hennig made many trips over there and had hot angles in Portland in an NWA territory as the AWA World Champion. And he went to Japan and wrestled. I can't remember if it was All Japan or where he wrestled, but he defended his title over there. And he had Ric Flair type moments where it was disputed and the title was not really held up, but it kind of was in that territory just for the angle, But yeah, Kurt, that alone qualifies Kurt Hennig to be a great, not just a former world champion, but a great world heavyweight champion, because he was traveling in 1987 and 8 when nobody else was doing that anymore.
Exactly. And also that was during that time. That's when all the territories was drying up. So definitely.
He was the last one trying to keep it going. And let's be honest. If he gave Jerry Lawler that great moment in the Mid-South Coliseum, and he's the one that dropped it to Jerry the King Lawler. And if all you got to do is go on YouTube, the footage is there, and it was huge crowd. Huge reaction to Jerry winning. So for that moment alone, he gave the King that moment.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to piggyback on traveling champions to one of the great ones. In fact, the greatest wrestler on God's green earth, handsome Harley Race.
Yes.
This guy, toughest freaking definitely one of the toughest guys in wrestling history. I was overseas or whatnot, and I was like, when I came back to say, I had got to meet Harley Race. I never got the chance to meet him, and I'm kicking myself that I never had a chance to go to Comic-Con and meet him. I was like, oh, I would have loved that moment. I really would have, but. Harley Race, someone else I truly unappreciated for being that tough traveling world heavyweight champion. It is a talent to go to a territory, work that top guy who may be on your level, way below your level, and make it believable that that person has a chance of becoming world heavyweight champion.
Yes, indeed. And
that is a talent.
Look at the Starcade, the first Starcade, and Ric Flair and Harley Race in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
That was as big as anything ever was.
I gotta give Harley Race a lot of credit, man. A lot of credit. And these are old school guys only us would think about, you know, us older and huge wrestling fans would think about, you know.
Yeah.
People won't think about these people these days, man.
Show me many NWA world champions that again came to the World Wrestling Federation, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and defended the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. You know,
yeah, gotta put the extra W in there. Yeah,
the old days. But I mean, he, you know, and yeah, man,
exactly.
And his student is the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Trevor Murdoch.
Aha.
So the legacy is kind of going, even though that's not his child. Yeah. But let's be honest. When you look at Trevor Murdoch, I don't really think of Captain Redneck. I think of Harley.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. All right, man. Who else you got?
Memorable title reigns. I'm finna grab my next belt for this person. A lot of people gonna disagree, gonna look at me stupid when I say it, but you gotta give credit where credit is due, whether you like this person or not. And y'all know who I'm talking about when I grab this belt.
Oh crap!
John Cena.
Yes, sir. John Cena. Y'all gotta give this person some kind of credit. Y'all got to.
Of course.
I mean, I'm gonna put it like this here. I'm gonna hold this up so because the thing is still spinning. But I'm gonna put it like this. The reason why I'm giving this man all the credit in the world, not just because he's a wrestler, he's a 16-time wrestler. He kind of changed the wrestling business a little bit, a tad. Because of belts like this, I still don't think this belt was specifically designed for him. It might have been designed by him, but not for him. My personal opinion. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But anyway, the reason why I'm saying John Cena, and I love that picture. The reason why I'm saying John Cena is because you got to give this man respect. When this past Monday, or was it last? No, this past Monday on Raw, when they did his 20-year anniversary, I was watching. I was always telling my wife, I said, do you know this man holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most Make-A-Wish wish ever?
Yeah.
And look how busy this man is, and he carves out time for that. And what are we doing in our days? And you know what I'm saying, with our time.
Yeah.
Put it like this. He was a top star in wrestling. Still kind of is, but top star in wrestling. And we all know when you traveling for wrestling, you on the road 300 plus days a year, if not more, 300 plus days. And he's doing movies. We all know that takes time. And he's doing TV shows, talk shows, whatever. And still find time to grant Make-A-Wishes. Come on, man.
Yeah.
He holds the record for 600 and something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was close to 700. I was like, and you don't count that as respect for this person? Come on, man. You got to. You have to. And it's like he took this platform of the WWE, like we were saying with The Rock earlier. He took this platform. He made it to where, okay, everybody loves wrestling. You for a certain reason, whatever the case may be. And he took it and he said, okay, I'm finna take this to like he said on one of his songs. Oh, I forgot he did a 2 rap albums. One of them kind of went platinum and the other one kind of flopped. But also too, he said, I'm gonna take this thing to levels that it never have been. And he basically have. Whether you like this guy or not, that's up for debate. I mean, I don't care about that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about what this guy has done for the wrestling business.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, Joey. Let's start doing rapid fire real quick. 30-second soundbite. Next one.
Raven, ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay.
and
And
mainly
NWA.
because
And
what
NWA.
true. But I guess if I was picking, I guess yeah, absolutely. And one of the most underappreciated but greatest minds in the history of the business. A
Definitely.
guy, Vince McMahon, wanted to be that pretty much the head of his creative team in 1994. You know,
Really?
because but Scott Levy did not want to quit wrestling, and that's basically what Vince wanted, was him to just get out of the ring and stuff like that. But his I give all the credit in the world. You could talk about Shane Douglas, you could talk about the Sandman.
Right.
I think the rise of ECW, if you're going to give credit to somebody, I think it should go to Raven. Because to me, it was the psychology of it. It's the feud. Look at the feud he had with the Sandman, where they pushed a lot. They pushed a lot of stuff, but Raven, in terms of that character and him and being the ECW World Champion at the time, the psychology he put into it and everything like was unmatched. And if you're not familiar with it, I definitely say go back and look that up and watch some of his stuff from then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that could be another topic, because a name that you didn't mention in regards to ECW is Terry Funk. But I digress. But I
Love
digress.
Terry Funk now. God.
Exactly. So
I was thinking Sabu.
You say Sabu?
Yep.
Yeah.
But put a bookmark on it. Put a bookmark on it. That's something that we can definitely revisit. On my list, Bruno Sammartino. Two long title reigns. Close to 10 years. First one in 6 years. That's one was like three close to 4 years. Dominance in drawing in that New York territory, Madison Square Garden in that time frame. So
nice.
Matters to Bruno Sammartino. Man, have you got another one?
Yeah, so we can go ahead and cut this short. I ain't gonna go to a one after this, but my next one, I have to go ahead. I don't know if you want to consider this a world title, but I gotta say, let's go ahead and say Adam Cole.
Okay.
I know he was NXT champ. I don't think he won it while he's in AEW. I don't think.
He's a three-time Ring of Honor world champion.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. I forgot all about that. But yeah, the reason I'm saying Adam Cole is because I think he's smart in what he did. He got called up to the main roster in WWE. He said, "No, I want to go back to where I know I'm going to have success." He knew where his place where he belonged, and then once his contract was up, that's when he went to AEW. I'm just gonna cut it short because I know we are cutting short. We are a little short time there.
Joy,
I'm gonna go WWE and say Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay.
I don't think. Yeah, again, I don't know that how much that needs to be said, but there's arguments to be made against that, because you're talking about the top guy that had to follow Hulk Hogan, exactly. and basically didn't get much time to prepare. But I think that and let's be honest, he didn't even win his first WWF title on TV. Exactly. It was in Saskatchewan, Canada versus Ric Flair.
Saskatoon.
Yeah, Saskatoon. And beat Ric Flair for it, which is a big enough deal in its own right to win a world title from Ric Flair. But yeah, I mean, it did seem like Bret won most of his titles because something else didn't work out. But I guess that's also a testament to him being a guy that could always put it on and trust. And I think that Bret is the anchor that kept the thing going until it could get to its next boom. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
Exactly, and you mentioned the other two that are on my list, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. Definitely go on there. Hulk Hogan, the catalyst taking WWE up to the next level. Ric Flair, in his earlier reigns as a traveling champion. My love to the traveling world champions. Until like you said, became the Jim Crockett Promotions world title. for
WCW, yeah,
exactly.
Eventually.
So yeah, definitely respect to those. Any other alibis out there?
Well, if I did want, if we had time, want to go back to the topic of guys that never won the title.
Okay, go ahead.
And I wanted to make mention of a name that a lot of people don't think of, but I really think at one time Bullet Bob Armstrong should have been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because dude was, I mean, he stayed in his territory for the most part.
Right.
But if you've seen his matches, especially back through the whole thing, even with the stupid bullet gimmick with the mask and the, after he broke his face or whatever, and the whole thing, like, that man was still out there, like a few years before he passed away, and people would still pop hot for him. Like he was one of the biggest territory stars there ever was, in my opinion. And not to mention, he had 4 incredibly talented sons in professional wrestling. I
never heard of them.
Never.
I never heard of them.
Yeah, but one in particular that drew a ton of money for the World Wrestling Federation.
Really? Never heard of them.
Yeah, but Bullet Bob was a huge draw, and I think they missed something big. Like, imagine him and Harley down there in Georgia or down in Florida, even, like, dropping the title even for just a short time to Bullet Bob Armstrong would have been. I think he's one of those guys that should have been champion.
Yeah.
One person I was thinking about, but I couldn't really think hard enough. Did Cowboy Bob Orton never win a world championship?
No.
Nope.
See, that's why I said I had to think about it. Randy Orton's dad.
Exactly.
So I had to think about that. I was like, damn,
he was a star now. He was a territory star too.
Yeah. And just to put a bow, I'm just gonna ramble off some names that haven't been mentioned, but as soon as I see him, you can be like, damn, you're right. Magnum TA.
Yes, that was my number one, because I have no doubt in my mind
he was going to be world's heavyweight champion. He was going to be world's heavyweight champion. Ted DiBiase is on my list. Exactly.
I think of Magnum TA when I think of this one, but
yeah,
God,
yeah. Ted DiBiase.
Yeah.
Owen Hart.
Didn't he win the NWA championship?
No.
Until he got to the WWF, he was a junior heavy. He was considered a junior heavyweight back then. He would have never.
He had the match. He had the matches with Brett.
Mm-hmm.
Could he have run with it though? Is my question. Is like, could he have stayed hot as a top heel? Was he ready? Especially at that time when he had like the cage match with Brett. Like, I mean, you can't take away from that WrestleMania match. You can't take away from that feud they had, but it's hard to say that, to me, looking back, that there was a time where Owen fit into the picture as the top heel, especially him. I guess we're talking more of Owen as a heel too, because that was his best. I mean, hard to argue that's his best runs were his heels.
All right, here's a question from Kayla. Was Owen world champion at Stampede? No, he was the top champion, the North American champion.
That's not world title. Yeah.
But
he was the USWA Unified World Champion, so it goes back into that dispute over, do you consider that?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's hard to dispute.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their opinion on this thing, so it's like,
then again, you could say he was just a champion of Memphis.
That's
because by that time, yeah.
Three other names: Ted DiBiase, Tully Blanchard.
Yes, he's on my list. Yep, Tully would have been a great world champion.
And a name that should be on everybody's list: Roddy Piper.
Yeah. Oh shit! I forgot all about Roddy Piper. God damn.
Speaking of Tully, I think Tully's worst problem when he was at his hottest was the fact that he was next to Nature Boy Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. It's hard to be the world champion when Ric Flair's on top.
Exactly.
In his prime. Exactly. Ric Flair in his prime too, when he was still in his 30s.
And an argument could be along the lines for Arn as well, Arn Anderson.
Yeah, but then again, I think
Tully, I can see Tully more than Arn as a world champion.
Yeah.
But an argument can be made because Arn can make folks look so good.
By today's standards, Arn would have been a 10-time world champion. I mean, let's be honest. Like,
exactly.
These guys, but back when he was, running hot, he was, it felt like he was in the right place for him. But Tully, people lock Tully too much into that category because they remember him with Arn and stuff like that. But Tully as a single was his best work.
Yeah.
Like he was God, and him and Magnum TA, you can't get much hotter than that. That was a red hot feud. Him and Dusty, Jesus, man. He worked on top with Dusty, and that was that was a hot feud too.
Awesome.
Piper. Like he and I got another name for you that fits. Paul Orndorff.
I saw. Yeah.
See, that's why I say we're going to take me a minute to think about these.
Yeah. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff could have been WWF champion and broke up Hogan's first run. Like
exactly.
And they teased it because remember when he stole the belt and Paul was wearing the belt out there and stuff. Mm-hmm. God, they had an opportunity.
Stole Hulk's music. That was.
Yeah.
That was.
That was a time where it was a definite missed opportunity where they could have given Orndorff that nasty heel run, broke up, but it would have broken up Hogan's Tully in '86. Yep, and that's around the same time that Paul Orndorff was running with Hogan too. So you're talking about a definite time period. If you haven't watched much wrestling around that time, it's a good time for him to go back. Yeah, and Tully was only second as a heel to Ric Flair, and that's not a. That's not saying. I mean,
Ric Flair was at the top of his game.
He's the top heel in the business, undisputedly. Like there's no way. So if Tully's number 2 to him, that's not a slight at him at all. To be
not in the least.
No, but Paul Orndorff in that. But Paul Orndorff, I see like, yeah, he got that. What was it? Was it a spinal injury he had or something that ended up causing him to
I thought
retire, and then he came back, and then he could never really build the muscle mass back like he had it and stuff.
I thought it was his leg, but okay, I might be wrong.
No, something affected him, like to where he couldn't even, because you remember he kind of, if you look at him in the WWF, he had big biceps and everything like that, but whenever he came back, like he kind of looked a little more buggy with the arms. He couldn't grow them again because he couldn't lift the weights with them, and then he retired for many years after 95, and then he tried to make that comeback with that New Blood angle or whatever they were running or something in WCW.
Oh, okay.
Where he tried to have a multi-man match, and then he ended up getting carried out of there because I think he got dropped on his head by one of the guys like Mark Jindrak, or it was that group.
Okay.
When they were coming up they were all his kids out of the power plant, but yeah, Paul Orndorff, man, and Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA for sure. Magnum was right there where he was, he was about to feud with Ric Flair. Like it was coming.
Yeah. Man, these are great discussions we having all the time, man. We need to do this more often.
And we definitely got some some ideas for the next one. But if any of you guys have some stuff you want to see us discuss, drop them in the comments. Let us know. If you want to do that, you can inbox all of us in the group. So because we definitely want to keep it going. Also, real quick, Joey, talk about the raffle that we had the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're selling out quick. Although I get interesting messages sometimes offline about it, like that I don't ever talk about, where people are just like occasion, like it never fails. Like every few months, I'll have somebody join the group. And they'll message me and they'll be like, "Hey, dude, if you just do the Powerball thing, I'd get in." But then, if you look back a couple months ago, I put up a poll about it, like who wants me to do Powerball and who wants me to keep just doing the randomizer app. And the vast majority of people just want me to keep doing it the way I'm doing it. So but somebody will spend like a long time, like trying to convince me to change it to the Powerball thing. And I'm like, like if I took everybody's money in spots on a Friday, we got to wait till the following Wednesday for the Powerball result to come out, which I don't even follow that. So I'm like, I'd have to really start paying attention to this thing. And, but apparently it fits the numbers. It's like 1 to 26 or something like that. I guess it's the last number of it. I don't know how that works, but I know that there's another group where they do WWE shop belts where it's a Powerball thing, and that's real popular, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad as long as it's one of those things where as long as people still want it, I'll keep doing it. And William Kelly, I think I think he had won one time before, and so he had quit entering the raffles for over a year, and then he just entered this one by chance and then won it. So it's like it's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
remember
of
one
fun.
time I won it, and
Yeah,
I was like, wow, okay. I was like, okay.
you came in and swept up what, like 7 or 8 spots one time,
Uh-huh.
and then just
Yeah,
took it just like that.
because I waited until and you was like, you got some more spots available. Who wants it? So I said, I take them all. So I took them all.
Yeah, we went through a period. I can't remember if it was last year or when, but it was towards the end of the summer last year where it started dropping off and people weren't entering it. It was slow. Bill, it took me days to fill, and so I kind of let it go for a few months. And then we had some people join the group that were kind of like, "Hey, when you going to do one of these things again?" And I'm like, "Oh, if there's interest, I'll do it." I mean, I don't want to. I feel it's not me to like beg people and be like, "Hey, we still got like 5 spots left. Please, 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 please get in this thing," or something like that, because I just don't. I don't want to do that. Like I'm not a salesperson here or anything like that. I'm not trying to and I don't want people to feel like it's required to be in the group either. Like I don't want people to feel like, oh, if you ain't entering the raffles, you got to go or something, or like that's all the group is about. No, it's not all the group is about. It's just meant to be something fun to throw out there for people to get into. But yeah, I've had people, you know, I enjoy hosting them, but then, like occasionally I get people like, you got to watch out because there's always people that are trying to cheat the system and stuff like that. And there's been some people try some stuff before,
Right.
and they're like, well, it's for the same reason that you can't send me raffle money for like goods and services or pay, because what happens is if somebody doesn't win the raffle and they only put $10 in, they can hold my entire PayPal up hostage for weeks, over them not getting a good or service that they thought they were. And so, but people will argue with me and be like, well, you want me to send it friends and family, but that's not what we're doing. And I'm like, I understand that. But if I have to hold up giving the winner their belt because you spent $10, didn't win, and now want to dispute it, like now we're holding the whole thing up and I'm just going to shut it down,
Right.
but it's like anything in the belt community. There's the vast majority of people are awesome that want to get in on it and do it. But then you get some people like Randy Jones a month or two ago that tried a couple times to get in, but not pay. And then told me he'd pay later, but also wanted me to go ahead and run the raffle. It's like, I wasn't born last night, man. Like, what? If you bought 2 spots and I go ahead and do the raffle and you don't win, are you going to send me $20? No, you'd be stupid to. You didn't even win, but now I can't even afford to pay Chagu for the belt because you did this mess. So it's, yeah. So, but it's a good opportunity if you want to get in and you want to try your luck at it. We're trying to do it at least once a month. But like I said, if it gets to the point where we're doing it too much and it's driving everybody crazy, then we'll back off. But a lot.
I think me personally, I think it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
hey, pay $10, and you might win a belt with only $10.
And it happened last month. The guy did Eddie Luna win? I can't remember who won last month, but somebody got in on $10 on one spot and won. And I felt bad because somebody came and cleaned it up and bought multiple spots at the end. And I was like, at first I would tell people like, are you sure you want to do that? Because like you could still lose very easily here.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? These are grown people. This is not my job to come in and say like, you should think about that before you pick all these spots. It's like, no, hopefully you thought about it before you decided to do that. And then
hey, I'm a person like Joey just said. I came in one raffle. I bought the last 7 spots. I thought about it. I said, ooh, I don't know. But I said, it's a gamble. You gamble. Yeah. You can win, you can lose.
Yeah. Yeah, but it very well happened I think the person that won this time, I think William I think he had 2 or 3 slots in it, but yeah, I mean, the last month somebody got in and it was their first time ordering and they bought one number and for $10 they got a belt.
So, it happens. It happens. I mean,
And then somebody else messaged me and was like, in other raffles, they limit to 3. And I was like, but I don't feel like I should have to tell like grown men and women, like, hey, don't do that. If you make that choice, it's on. If you buy 15 tickets and spend $150 and somebody that bought one wins it, I do feel bad about it, but I can't go back and erase it. You took a risk.
Yeah. It's like going to a casino. It's like going to a casino.
Literally.
You could take $300 and you want to go bet and you lose all $300 of your dollars.
That was a choice. Yeah.
You buy 15 spots, you lost someone who only paid for one,
And I have to give them the bet. I mean, they have to give it to them. They picked the number that won. That's the way it works. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're halfway to a belt at 150. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and a nice belt too. Golly. But yeah. And people ask me, they're like, should I get in the raffle or should I just save up to buy one? I was like, I can't tell you that. I said, if you already got that much money, though, why wouldn't you just save up?
That's a down payment. You pay the other half.
Really, yeah. And I was about to say, if you can come up with it in 3 weeks or something like that, just go ahead and put it down and come up with the rest of it. But yeah,
exactly. So it is. But anyway, we're an hour and a half in, guys. It's been an awesome conversation. We're definitely going to do this again. We got some topics lined up. Again, if you have an idea for us to discuss, drop it in the comments or hit us up or drop it in the group, and we're gonna keep this party going. To quote guys in another group, the belt hobby, live it better than you found it. Keep it drama free.
Yeah,
too easy. It's too easy, guys. All right, y'all. Till next time, we'll holler at y'all.